Hi everyone, and welcome to Minecraft Stoneblock, episode 40, the grand finale of our Let's Play series. I am Mark, and I am ready to finish the last two quests we have in our quest book. As we mentioned last time, the two quests we have left are to make the World Breaker and to make the Tome of Knowledge from Project D. And I think I've accumulated everything we need here. If we look in here, I've gone ahead and preloaded the recipe for the World Breaker. So let's go ahead and pull that out. That completes one of our two quests. And the second thing we have to do is do the fusion crafting recipe for the Tome of Knowledge. And there is a chaotic core in here. I did the background crafting for these items and crafted our other chaotic fusion injector that we need. There's an Enderus Pearl in this one, and so all we should have to do is put our transmutation tablet into the fusion crafting station and start the process. And I believe this is pretty quick, actually. It is. And there is our Tome of Knowledge. And I'm not sure how this works. I think what we do is we throw it in here. No? Or did it just do it? It looks like it just did it. Like if we do iron. Yeah, it did it. So everything that we could ever learn is in our transmutation table, including, I'm guessing, the transmutation tablet, so we can get our tablet back. And we already know how to make this, so we can stick it in here, no problem. Go ahead and get rid of our last bits of stuff from our inventory, and we're done. We have finished it. This is actually the first modded Minecraft pack that I've ever 100% completed all the quests. So let's go ahead and turn in our last two quests. Oops. So take one last look through. All the green on all the pages. And see what wonderful rewards that we're going to get. I'm not even going to try and guess now, because one of these is sure to be something really cool since we're done. An in-bar hammer and some alchemical bags. So nothing great. We really did get like nothing useful out of all of our... well, I can't say nothing useful because we did get alchemical bags. And we did get the draconic crux for mystical agriculture. So, this is going to be a really short episode unless we do something else. And I thought what we could do is go all the way back to the beginning and do a quick base tour of what we have. So, early game, this was actually our empty stone room, which had basics, just stone and nothing else in it. And we started by growing a tree and harvesting stone and doing some sifting. And the only remnant of the sifting system, I think, is right here. And I left this running just so we could sift some random stuff. And I think the last thing I sifted was crushed end stone, maybe. But also back here is our first cobblestone generator, generating cobble, which is generating lava, which is, feeding our early resource production because we had an infinite cobblestone source and an infinite lava source. And, that was quite useful in the beginning. We moved on and created our smeltery and a couple early machines here. Some crafting tables and our Tinker's Tools stations. And over here we have our original clay and dirt generators using, I think these are using barrels. Am I right? Yeah. Using the old wooden barrel methods for those. And nothing in here, but over on this side we set up the diamond furnace infinite charcoal supply using a hopping bonsai pot. And these are two of our diamond furnaces that, you know, are full of charcoal at this point. Nothing else for them to do. They've been idle for quite a while, actually. And, you know, this is just the back room with some of our manual use machines. There's nothing really rocket science back here. We have some Ender IO machines, a few thermal machines, a bookcase that I think I was using to make moss for our Tinker's Tools, mending moss, and the drying basin that I was using actually to make leather, relatively recently even. That's a pretty easy way to make leather when you don't get it very often. We have our engineer's workbench, a brewing stand, and that's about it for this room. The next thing that happened was, I should point out too, there are two heads on the wall that have my name on them. And both of those deaths, I want to say, those are the only two deaths we experienced. And I think both of those occurred when we were clearing out this room due to unfortunate dynamite placement. I think that's the only times I actually died in this playthrough. We did make this nice quasi-natural cave. I never really did anything with this. It looks kind of cool. I don't think it looks bad. You know, it's not a super build or anything like that, but, you know, it's not bad. We have a couple weird trees down here. We have a dark oak tree. We have a ghost. I think this is a ghostwood tree. Yeah. And that was imported from the Nether. And we have some fluid cows running around, which we never really did. No, not fluid cows, energetic sheep, which we never really did anything with. And a whole bunch of Botania flowers scattered around. And, oh, that's the ground trap that we used to catch our rabbits for our rabbit stew a long time ago. So, the other thing we did pretty early on was we did our original mob farms. And our original mob farms were using the mob mashers. And I'm going to go ahead and turn these lights on so we can see. And we have expanded our mob farm capabilities. You know, we added the witch water that's turning mobs into the sort of cursed versions of themselves, so we could get our wither skull heads. And we upgraded everything to vector plates instead of just dark rooms. We have our mechanical user, which is leveling up our weapons to awesome. It has 2 modifiers on it, which we'll never use. I did finally add a sound muffler in here because I got tired of the noise. So we have tons of liquid XP here, and as you can see, we don't really need it because I have, I don't know if you can read that, but I have 428 levels right now. So experience was never really an issue. Here we have our pink slime generating farm and our liquid meat supply, which is keeping us fed. And this is using the industrial foregoing mob slaughter factory. Over here was the mob farm I set up purely to level up weapons. And, you know, this one is leveling up very slowly because Solium is not a particularly powerful weapon. And that was sort of when we got, once the early mob farm was set up, that was sort of when we got into really industrializing our base. Later on, we built the wither farm here. And this had a few intermittent issues. I did have to do some later tweaking that I didn't really show to how resources came out of this. Nothing major. I just had to change some filters. That door actually leads over to the place where our biome absorber picked up our plains biome for our silky jewel dimension. And what else is over here that I'm missing? Oh yeah, we have our loot bag processing system, which is processing all the patient bags, and wow, do we have way too many patient bags. Clearly this is not really going to do much. Our system is just overflowing. Back here we have our loot bag openers that were generating EMC for us at a relatively slow rate. This was not all that successful. We still have just huge amounts of loot bags in our storage system here. And this is all our mob drop processing, which is idle right now because I just turned everything off. And this is going to lead us over to our storage system, which is the next stop. And yeah, we can look at the storage system. So we've seen this many, many times, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but there's a whole lot of drawers here, and they store a ton of stuff. And back behind here, I did go through and actually finish off decorating this area. Back behind here is where we have all our inputs and outputs for various systems. These two are inputs from our roost and from our various farms. These are outputs to our power supplies. Yeah, all these are actually outputs to power supplies. We have some cobblestone generation going on, which I never really did anything with. We do have 2 octuple compressed cobblestone. This is our quantum singularity generator, which is used to make our quantum bridge to other dimensions for our AE2 system. And this is the other end of our loot bag processing system. So all in all, pretty much everything in that direction is storage. This was our system for processing all of our mystical agriculture essences and turning them into useful items. And we have a ton of stuff here that we're producing, and most of this is probably pretty idle right now because all our drawers are full. Back here we do have a sand sifter running, which is basically giving us, I think it's prosperity shards and yellorium. I think that's the only thing we actually use out of this. But those were things that we couldn't really get elsewhere. We're also generating soul sand back here by pumping witch water into these barrels and then filling them with sand, which turns into soul sand. Neutronium generation here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and shut down the clocks. Oops. Oh, that one wasn't even on. So we're still generating neutrons, but not at a very fast rate any longer because we don't really need them. This is the return from our void ore miner and something I don't remember. Maybe the gas burning generators? Yeah, gas burning generators. Some random stuff in a chest. This was all my sort of drawer workshop stuff. And that's about it for this side down here. I guess the next thing we worked on was mystical agriculture. And we can take a quick look at this. We had some vanilla crops and growth crystals everywhere. We experimented with a sprinkler. And this is our actual Inferium farm and our draconium seeds for awakened draconium. There's a few other things back here. There's gas seeds, and I don't know what those are. What are you? Oh, those are the gas. These are the dragon eggs. So a few different seeds back here, but mostly Inferium. And this is our standard sort of harvester setup with a redstone clock controlling the pace. For a while we did that. It's not really necessary anymore because we have more power than we know what to do with. All this stuff is getting collected, and I'll just look at one of these quickly. Getting sucked back into our storage system, as we just saw. And this one is still the one that is like close to backing up. So, let's see, nothing else back here other than giant cubes of growth crystals. So that's about it for the farms. We did do some work with chickens, and this is the chicken output getting compressed into blocks. And if we look at roost up here, these are all the chickens that we're using, and these are all bred to maximum growth gain and strength. And this is just sort of some miscellaneous breeding accessories. Back here are auto breeders, which automatically bred chickens up and took raw chickens and bred them up to level 10 chickens. And I don't remember why I was cooking chicken meat. That's why. I was trying to remember why this diamond furnace was back here. But and for fun, we have 2 more diamond furnaces. So we ended up with like 5 or 6 of those from quest rewards. I think they were our most one of our more common sort of upper tier quest rewards. And they're, I think, yeah, there's another floor up here with more farm. And the same thing over here. There's just more, this is more essence farming than anything else. And this is a bunch of different random essences. So back down to the basement. And if we look at things chronologically, we skip this bit for a moment and we go over here. And this was our first power system, which is taking milk from cows in a jar. It's taking rice from our farm and making rice slime balls using good old-fashioned low-level crafters and mechanical users. Basically real low power equipment to run our slimy generators. And that was our first power source. And it served us well for quite a while, actually. We eventually upgraded to the gas burning generators that are in here. And this is a relatively complex setup just because we added the capability to do production of HDPE pellets. And that's all turned off at the moment because we don't need any more and we have a bunch in here. But that's what these extra machines are all for. So this was really my first mechanism setup, and I have mixed feelings about some of the mechanics of it with the weird sidedness and controls, but I'm sure that's really just a matter of getting used to it. So our generators are probably sitting here. Well, you're still burning. Interesting. I don't even know what we have that's using power. I guess the void ore miners are the primary thing. So that was our first 2 power systems. And with both those running and sending their power through our flux network, which has just a huge amount of backlog in it as well, we actually ended up setting 2 networks up because we stuck our power ball on a separate network and all our power generation on one side and all our power users on the other. We moved on to AE2 and set up our AE2 network with a big controller in the middle and a whole bunch of dense cables. We're really not using that many channels. I mean, we did a fair amount of AE2, but we didn't really strain anything. So that's 26, 42, 62, 71, 78, 83, yeah. I think there's some more over here. 83, yeah. So we used 90 channels out of, the oodles that we have here. And really we have plenty of auto crafting available. We didn't use all our autocraft interfaces. We have terminals here and there around the base that are useful. And there's a bit of stuff down in the basement. We have our ME interfaces, which are autocrafting a random assortment of stuff and keeping it in stock so we can work efficiently. And here is our quantum tunnel, which links up our AE2 system with our mining dimension, which we will get to momentarily. So next we did auto crafting for all the various AE2 parts that we need. The inscriber, the calculation, logic, and engineering processors that we need to set up all our AE2 interfaces and buses. And that's what all this is. And there's a crystal growth chamber there that's growing our purified crystals. And I think that's about it for a sort of raw AE2. Here we have a couple specialized machine setups that were sort of one-off jobs. This one, I believe, is doing our processing of our yellorium. This one was making our fluxed electrum ingots and blocks that we were using to create our quantum singularities, or not our quantum singularities, our singularities for our first infinity catalyst. And that's what this machine was doing. And over here we have sort of our automated machines. I did, in fact, close off this finally. I got tired of looking at the gaping hole in the wall. Pulverizers and furnaces and smelters and alloy smelters and fluid transposers and metallurgic infusers and magma crucibles and a giant array of furnaces here for fast smelting and an array of pulverizers for fast pulverizing. This was our dedicated smeltery for processing ender tiers. And if we look in our system, actually I never went back and revisited this, did I? If we look at ender tier in our system, we don't have any anymore, and that's because I did actually modify this, and I don't think I ever talked about it. The smeltery itself was just too slow, so I built an ender tank down here, and an ender tank is basically just a giant storage vessel for smeltery fluids. And I attached a few casting tables to it. So they're all sort of half full at the moment, it looks like. But we were casting a lot of ender pearls in parallel because there's, I don't know if I can get back here or not. I guess maybe? Yeah. We were casting a lot of ender pearls in parallel, and that eventually got us caught up with our backlog of ender tiers. So, this little hole in the ground with one enderman in it, this was actually my attempt to create a bat spawner, and it was not particularly successful. I don't actually remember where I went to get a bat. Maybe I went to the mining dimension. I don't remember. It's been too long. But that was very tedious for our angel ring. So we did that side. We've done that side. There are coprocessors on our actual AE2 storage. As you can see, we are nowhere near full on our AE2 storage. We just didn't use it at all. I think there's probably a couple full drives somewhere, or close to full. Like that one's pretty close. But we just have tons of empty storage that we never really used. And I did add a really huge processor in the middle here that has plenty of capacity for giant jobs, which we did use a couple times for Inferium crafting, but that was about it. So this is our Empower setup, which I think we used 3, maybe 4 times. It just never really was something we needed a whole lot. Let's see where else we can go. We're kind of hitting everything as we go. I guess the next place to go, well, we can look down these side corridors. I did set up early on, this is going way back to like the first 5 episodes, a bunch of bonsai pots with drawers attached to them to give us an infinite supply of wood, and gradually that expanded to include other materials, like this one's doing chorus fruit, and a couple doing slime and such. This one's doing maple syrup, yeah. I don't remember what we needed that for, but it was something that we needed along the way. Sugar cane that I planted a long time ago and I don't think I've ever used. We have our enchanter here that I used to make evil infused ingots, I think. That was another one for our Infinity Catalyst quest. And more bonsai pots for trees and wood. And that's sort of it for this end of the base. I guess the next thing we did was we expanded over into the mining dimension. So let's go over there and take a look. Over here we have a few things going on. We have our Void Resource Miner. We have two Void Ore Miners, one tier 5 and one tier 4, I think. One tier 3. We have a whole bunch of power generation going on. We have our solar panel array from Solar Flux Reborn, which were quest rewards. Here's the other end of our quantum bridge for our AE2 system. And here is our tier 4 solar array, which is just kind of passive. You know, it's almost capped. Our power is capped out, so this isn't really doing a whole lot. And this one, same thing, but this one is sort of our beefy boy. He's producing 1.8 million RF per tick when he's on. So that's really, this could provide all the power we need for everything in our base and more. So here were a couple of our early farms for EMC. This is an emerald mystical agriculture farm full of emerald plants, and it's just merrily chugging along, harvesting emeralds and turning them into energy condensers, which eventually end up in our main condenser. We have our dragon egg farm here, which, you know, the watch of flowing time is off at the moment, so it's just sitting there slowly accumulating dragon eggs for us. And then we have our Botania setup, which we have our portal to Elfheim, a couple mana or nature pylons, our Terrasteel setup for creating Terrasteel, which we don't need to do because it has EMC, some mana generation, Endoflames, our basic Petal Apothecary, and our living wood, living rock auto creation setup, which I ran through in a previous episode, so no need to detail it here, but it still works. We have a void botanic miner, which was just generating some wood and leaves and such for us. We never really did anything with any of that. And up here we have the processing for our void ore miners. We have pulverizers running that take all our pulverizable ores and double them and then feed them to these redstone furnaces, and then it all goes through a drawer system that gets compressed into blocks, and then it all ends up back over in the main storage system as blocks, which in general means it ends up in our EMC collectors over there. So, what have I missed here? I don't think... Oh, I did miss one thing. Back here in the back, we did set up and kill the Gaia Guardian a couple times. So we have, Gaia pylons and a beacon here on top of blocks of diamond. So that was for one of our quest items that we needed to build. And I think that's it. I think that's everything here. So I think the last place to look is down in where we've been spending a lot of time lately, down in the power sphere room. So I'll be right back. Along the way, we do have various suits of armor that we've worn along the way. We have the gem armor we made for a quest. We have our draconic armor, which we used for quite a while, and also the supremium armor, which we used early on as our sort of main armor. Plus of course, the infinity armor that we're wearing now, along with the cloak of balance from Botania. So, the last place to visit, there's our grid power room. is our power sphere, which is a tier 7 draconic evolution power sphere, completely full, and we're having no problems keeping it that way. And one of the things feeding this is our big reactor or our extreme reactor setup, which is one actively cooled reactor running 4 turbines. We have 2 turbines there, and we have a turbine there and another one here. And these were a major power upgrade for us. They're doing 23k RF per tick. Now that's sort of a drop in a bucket, but at the time it was a huge amount. So, you know, this is when I think we built these about the same time as we built the power sphere. So that is bringing us up to sort of where we are today with our neutronium compressors that we use to make all our singularities for our first infinity catalyst, and our initial energy collectors for EMC generation, and our transmutation tablet, and our extreme crafting table, and our fusion crafting setup with 8 draconic injectors and 2 chaotic injectors. And finally, our dimension building stuff, which leads us to our mining dimension, or our Silky Jewel dimension, I should say. And here we are in our Silky Jewel dimension, and you can see that I actually set up a few more builders gathering Silky Jewels for us, because I was tired of waiting. And oh wow, that's interesting, it went under that. I miscalculated. These are just pumping out, you know, a good amount of EMC every turn, and having 4 of them just meant that I had to wait less time to get to the end of the episode. And I believe that's where we are now. So, it's been a fun ride. I've enjoyed this mod pack extremely. And it's, you know, it wasn't a super long pack, and I think that was part of its appeal, was the fact that even though there were some pretty insane goals, it was all achievable in a relatively short amount of time. By now, there's probably another series running on the channel, and that other series is probably not so short term. If what I'm thinking now, I'm recording this in mid-February, which is about when the other series should be starting. And I think it's going to be a much more involved and long-lasting Minecraft series. So I hope you'll stick around and come back and check that out when it starts. To all of you who have been watching, or if you're just picking up this episode, thanks for tuning in and checking out what I'm doing. And I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please think about supporting the channel with a like or a subscribe. But really, I just hope that you had some fun watching me flail about doing modded Minecraft. And I hope I'll see you again in the channel. And I think that's it. I think we're going to say goodbye. So, talk to you later, and have a great day.